It was back in the 1880s when education became compulsory for 5 to 10-year-olds. There are many images of the Victorian schoolroom from this era, and they all seem to reflect a very austere world that Charles Dickens created in his book Hard Times. The term active learning was popularised by Bonwell and Eisen in the 1990s. It was seen that children needed to do more than just listen if they were to learn. Active learning, in its simplest term, refers to two aspects. Firstly, students need to do things, and then they need to think and reflect about what they've been doing. Coaching ties in brilliantly with the concept of active learning, as this short video will show you.
It was very much a didactic approach where the teacher talks and the children do. And active learning is about turning that on its head, where the students do and learn through doing.
I think it's about guiding children in the next steps, but ultimately helping them to make those steps themselves.
It's wanting those children to become those independent learners and to think things through for themselves.
The sorts of questions are giving them ownership of their own progress, be it a member of staff or a student.
And it's about the quality of questioning and enabling children to become independent in their learning.
It's that idea that students will take responsibility for their learning. They will realise through coaching conversations that they should want to participate more.
The children are beginning to think, oh, they're not helping me, I have to work this out for myself.
What you're doing is actually asking strategic questions, listening and guiding, using your questioning to the person actually making the decisions for themselves about what they're going to do, and therefore it's sustainable.
When teachers and teaching assistants start to develop a coaching approach, they're able to ask good quality questions. These are questions that ensure that the student, rather than the teacher, is doing the thinking. The second area is around responsibility and ownership. When a student starts to think about what they're doing and starts to come up with their own ideas, they'll start to take ownership of the solution. The third area is around the learning journey. When a teacher or a teaching assistant realises that the journey is more important than the result, then that's when they have permission to start to allow a child to find their own way. This short excerpt from a teaching assistant shows how she is using coaching skills with her reception class.
Because I think before I was very much looking at, yes, I'd ask a question, but I'd already have decided what the answer I wanted, and it's taught me to understand that the children will take me in the direction. I may go perhaps around the whole field before I reach back to the gate, but they will get there, and their actual extension of their learning and getting there has been far more beneficial than me taking them straight along the straight path. So that's where it's helped me greatly with that.
So we've seen how a coaching approach relates to active learning. We're now going to move on to coaching and leadership. An article in the Telegraph last year spoke to 50 chief executives to identify what they thought were the qualities required for leaders. Their ideas were distilled into 3 areas. Leadership firstly requires the ability to think strategically. Secondly, a leader needs a clear vision, purpose and sense of direction. And thirdly, a good leader needs to have the ability to communicate well. I like to use the image of a jug of water. The cloudy jug of water represents our busy minds. The sediment is our thoughts. The clear jug of water is our minds after coaching. The thoughts have settled and we can see clearly. So, how is coaching being used in schools? There are two key ways that coaching is being used. Firstly, it's being used as a one-to-one approach with leaders and teachers. The second way is developing a coaching approach amongst teachers and staff to ensure that the language of coaching is being used in schools. This short video will help to show you how coaching is currently being used within schools. Coaching is being used to develop leadership in two key areas in schools. Leaders can receive one-to-one support from an experienced external coach, or alternatively, the skills of coaching are being developed amongst teams. Riverside Community Primary School in Plymouth has brought in 2 leadership coaches for their leadership team. Since the coaching has started, the head teacher has seen a significant difference.
What I've noticed is the outcome. The staff that work with people are more confident. They're feeling that they can tackle issues that in the past they would have come back and asked for advice. So it's made my job easier. It's made my job easier by not having to do so much, which is great. And actually, on a selfish level, I'm quite pleased with that. They will come to me sometimes as staff and say this is what they've done, rather than before they'd ask how I would have done it.
Different now is that I'm far less likely to go to my head and ask him to solve a problem for me. I'm much more likely to just tackle a conversation that I didn't really want to have with a member of staff, and I have found actually that now far less happen that need dealing with.
Whilst some schools, like Riverside Community Primary School, have been using external coaches to develop leaders, other schools have been developing the skills of coaching internally with their staff. Both Cape Cornwall School and King Edward VI Community College have noticed how these coaching skills are helping to embed leadership principles with the students.
It's about giving students ownership, about giving them ownership and accountability for their progress, rather than, you know, that sort of, I don't know, gained helplessness, if you like, by everybody doing it for them. It's about them saying, actually, yes, I can do this, and this is what I need to do, and then coming back and telling us what they've done.
But I think that we all have a responsibility for our own development and our own learning and how we approach our learning. And I think one of the most powerful things we're going to get out of coaching is that students will take that responsibility, and we can coach them to enable them to lead their own developments, because it is that empowering, and it's about helping them recognise what they can do, make their own decisions, and realise actually it's their decision making and it's not being imposed on them and told to them. And I think that's one of the most powerful things we can do.
Woodlands Park Primary School in Devon has been keen to develop children as leaders, and they've started to use coaching for this. Some of the older children have been trained in coaching skills, and they're now supporting the younger children. The coaches have enjoyed the process.
I like coaching a lot because when I'm older I want to be a teacher, and it's kind of like teaching someone how to be a better learner, so it's kind of along the lines of teaching.
And what have you noticed with the person you're coaching?
I've noticed that he is grown in himself, and that I think that he's more confident and things like that.
I just learned how to interact with other children a bit more, because I do have a younger sister and I know it like that about it, but then I think just doing this made me think a bit more about it and just learn more, and I think I found it really fun.
And to have that natural curiosity encouraged rather than closed down upon is absolutely fantastic. And isn't it great when a teacher says something and a child is able to say, actually, I don't agree with that because, and isn't that what we want to develop in all our children? To question and query everything that that's thrown at them, really. So they're not the followers, they're the leaders.
A coaching approach can support a school across the community. Currently, I've been working or have worked in all the areas that are coloured grey. The areas that are coloured in blue are areas that I'm soon going to move into. Coaching works in all of these areas. There are 3 simple things that are needed in order for coaching to embed within a school. Firstly, the head teacher needs to support this as an approach. The head teacher doesn't need to lead on the coaching, but he or she will need to give it their wholehearted support. The second area is to highlight someone who will act as the lead on coaching in the school. This person should be clear on the advantages of coaching and will ensure it's embedded into CPD. And thirdly, schools need to realise that there is not one size fits all model. Each school will have to create their own model that's bespoke to their school community. And if you would like to develop a coaching culture, then do get hold of us. We'd love to come along and meet up with you and discuss how we could help create a coaching model that would suit your school.